Good evening, everyone. I'm Vice Mayor Love, and Paige is, our mayor's not able to be with us tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and call to order this City of Gallatin Council Committee meeting of December 12th, 2023 to order. First, Connie, would you call the roll?
Vice Mayor Love.
Here.
Councilman Carter.
Present.
Councilman Fan.
Here.
Councilman Fennell.
Here.
Councilwoman George.
Here.
Councilman Hayes is absent, and Councilman Juvance. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Connie. I have a lot of people to thank and to mention tonight, but I will do that under mayor's comments. And the next thing we're going to do is approve, or the minutes are before you from November 28th of 2023.
Motion to approve.
A motion from Councilman George and a
Second
from Councilman Carter. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? All right, so that the minutes are approved. Next on our list is public recognition. This is the time of the night when people from the public can come forward and to the podium, give your name, your address. You may speak for 5 minutes and let us know of any concerns that you may have. So I'm going to declare public recognition open. Seeing no one coming to the podium, I'm going to declare public recognition closed tonight. So now we are ready for mayor's comments, and there are so many people to thank and recognize for their help after Saturday's storms and tornado. It was a devastating evening, but we definitely want to thank Gallatin Department of Electricity, who went all out to get everyone's power back on as soon as possible. And of course, we appreciated the help that Bowling Green and Cookville sent to us for our electric needs. Our public utilities departments went above and beyond, and Public Works went for a solid 16 hours straight and was able to have all of our roads cleared in that short amount of time. And I'm sure that that was a huge feat, and that was amazing. Thank you, too, for our police and fire departments for all the help that you did during that time. And also thank you to everyone who volunteered and got out and helped your neighbors and people in the community. It's wonderful to see people that volunteer to help each other. And for those that are looking for a way to help, the Gallatin Chamber of Commerce is working with the United Way of Sumner County to hold the Sumner County Disaster Relief Community Cleanup Day this Saturday, December 16th, from 8 till 3. Volunteers should check in at the disaster headquarters at 300 Indian Lakes Boulevard, Suite 160, and they'll be assigned to a cleanup location and given supplies to help. And for more information about that, you can go to the United Way of Sumner County Facebook page, or you could call Gallatin's Chamber of Commerce. That's what Gallatin is all about, is coming together to help each other. We've done it before, and we sure did do it this time. We also, by the way, have had several of our departments go and help our neighbors in Hendersonville, too. Of course, our hearts go out to those that had damages, and a list is being compiled. So if you have needs, if you're in the public and have needs, please contact the city either by emailing Mayor Brown at page.brown@gallatintn.gov, or you can call 615-451-5961, or you can message through our city social media to describe whatever your needs may be. And I wanted to also mention that we appreciated the help of TEMA and that emergency management has given us, as well as Governor Lee, who was in town on Sunday to check on us. And of course, our hearts go out to those who had damages, and we are just thankful that there was no loss of life, which was a blessing. I also want to thank everyone who participated in our annual Christmas parade on Saturday before the tornado and the storms hit us. It was a great and really fun parade, and it's one of my favorite Gallatin traditions. I've been just about every year since I could walk, and I love it. Thank you to our police department and our fire department, as well as Public Works, and all of those who helped make such great memories for our community and all the children that were there with their happy faces. On another note, tonight is City Planner Bill McCord's last City Council meeting. Bill has certainly been a wealth of planning knowledge and a great asset to the city of Gallatin, and will certainly be missed by all of us. The mayor said to mention that she hopes that he'll be willing to do some contract work with us in the future, and we hope that we'll be able to hold some kind of celebration for you soon if you'll allow it. And I'd also like to congratulate our codes director, Chuck Stewart, who received the honor of being named Fire Code Official of 2023 by the Middle Tennessee Codes Official Association. We're all proud of you, Chuck. Now, on our list of events coming up, the Well with Emily Runyon, Tennessee Mental Wellness at the Gathering Place will be on December 14th. And as I mentioned before, the Disaster Relief Community Cleanup Day will be on December 16th in Hendersonville. The Breakfast with Santa and Mrs. Claus will be at the Civic Center also on the 16th, and that's from 9 to 11. And then Wreaths Across America, which is a really wonderful event that's held every year at Gallatin's Historic Cemetery, is also being held on Saturday, December 16th. I believe I read that 700 wreaths have been delivered, and that is a very special day. And of course, everyone is welcome to come and help to lay wreaths on the graves there. Then on the December 17th, which we can't forget, is Councilman Carter's birthday. I understand he's already started celebrating. He's going to have a celebration all week long instead of just one day. Then this will be our last council meeting of the year, and then we'll be back in January. But most city offices will be closed on Christmas Eve and on the 22nd, and of course on Christmas and on New Year's. And so we look forward to seeing everyone back in January, and of course we all hope that everyone has a wonderful Christmas. So now, if there's nothing else, I'll go on to the agenda, which is not very long tonight, which is a blessing compared to last week. So number one and only is resolution number R2312-105. Courtney Russell.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. As mentioned, Mr. McCord will be leaving us as of January 5th officially. So in the interim between then and when we are able to select a new candidate, we'd like to name or appoint, the mayor's appointing Jillian Ogden, who's the current assistant city planner, in the director position. So this resolution is to approve her appointment as well as her compensation, which is a 10% increase per code. And then I have one piece that I don't know, which is when you'd like it effective, because Bill is actually leaving in the middle of a pay period. So we have the ability to start at December 31st, in the middle of the pay period, or January 8th. No, January 14th.
Motion to move to council with start on December 31st.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Juvance and a second from Councilman Carter to move this on to the next council meeting. Is any more discussion about this?
Yes, I said for December 31st to start the pay.
And to begin pay with December 31st. Sorry, I didn't get that. Okay. I know Jillian is a really good planning employee. She's been a lot of help to me when I was on Planning Commission. Is there any more discussion about that? Seeing
No better
none,
choice.
yep. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I have one more thing in the planning realm, and I don't know if I need to wait till departmental or anything like that, or can I just ask now?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so we do actually have two.
Okay, Susan says we need to go to other business first.
Okay.
Okay, you can stay because, and other business is next on the agenda anyway. So, okay, we'll open other business. Courtney.
All right. So we do have two qualified candidates on paper that we'd like to move forward with the interview process. So I wanted to find out how many of you are interested in being part of that interview process.
When will that happen?
That's the other part of it. So my understanding is historically it's been held on Tuesdays. We have 3 Tuesdays between now and January 2nd. Next Tuesdays doesn't seem to work as well for most people. But so then we're looking at December 26th, which I wasn't real sure about. The next one after that is January 2nd. Didn't know if we wanted to wait until January or try to squeeze it in December.
Are these going to be on Zoom or will they
In person.
In person.
People here?
Correct?
I'm willing to come before January.
I mean, I'd like to be involved in it.
Same here.
Probably not December 26th or,
Is the second good for everybody? I want to be involved as well.
say that you did not want to come in January?
No, I said I think that we can do it before January. And we need 2 sessions, you're saying?
There are 2 candidates, yes.
Okay,
So-
but can we do it in one day?
Yes,
Okay, so why don't we do that?
That's what she's wanting to do.
I'm just trying to
but we
find out
don't know
which date works
dates.
for everyone who wants to be involved.
Okay, so next Tuesday is not good for people, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. So what is it?
The 26th or the 2nd.
But it has to be a Tuesday?
Historically, that's the day that's worked best for most schedules because we already have a meeting happening that evening.
Okay.
Typically, we do it on a Tuesday because we have a meeting, and so if you want to put it on the agenda and discuss it, you can do it that same day.
But we're not having any meetings.
December,
Until-
that's right.
So January
January
2nd.
2nd is
So
the
couldn't
next
we do it,
meeting.
if it works another day during the week, wouldn't it be okay to do that?
I'm sure that we could. Historically,
Have
a
you
Tuesday's
checked
been
with
the
the
day.
mayor on her
Right.
availability?
I did check specifically for Tuesdays because I was told that that was historically when it's happened.
Personally, I'd rather come January 2nd.
Agreed.
Yeah, can we do the second?
Is that
Work for
all
you?
right with everybody? Sean?
Because you did say if we do it the second, we can still
I don't
have
have
time.
Or
to
anybody
put it on
who's
the agenda
interested
for
in
that evening.
doing this?
Well, the 2nd is a council meeting, so I would think that it would have to wait till the following week for a work session? Question
Well,
mark?
you could bring it under other business, and depending on what council wants to do, it could be brought under other business. They could discuss
Other
it under
for
other
what?
business. They could even vote on it if we had a resolution and they moved to do that without it having been on a work session. It's up to council.
Okay. Sounds
January
good.
2nd is fine.
What date we decide?
Tuesday. That's a Tuesday.
January 2nd.
January 2nd, it's on a Tuesday.
That's fine with me.
All right, so I will then send out information to you all to review prior to that, and we'll get scheduling.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone who has any other business? Oh,
Here.
sorry, Councilman Juvant.
Yes, ma'am. There's a few things I would like to see if we can put discussion on the next work session. It's two issue with zoning ordinance, so I suppose we need to talk about it before and send it to planning. But one, I've been talking a lot, and I think there is a misconception between the definition and what's really done. In the planning, it's what's called common open space. So I would like to see if we can bring it to discussion to kind of clean up the definition so there is no ambiguity on what we expect and what's done. Because for what I've seen, what's done now doesn't fit the definition we have on the zoning code. So I think the easiest thing to do would be to change the definition or refine the definition to make sure everybody is on the same page. So I would like to bring that to the next work session if people are okay with that. That's my first one.
So Councilman Juvance is making a motion to put this on the next work session. Do we have a second? Okay. Seeing none, I guess that motion dies for lack of a second then. Is there any other business?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Juvance.
Second one, same things, depending on the zone. Article 60609, we talk about lot creation and the way the square footage is done. If you want to go look at it, it's on a PRD and applied to density. So same thing, I would like to put that open for discussion at the next work session.
Is that a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Juvance has made a motion to put a question regarding density in codes on the work session. Do we have a second?
You said to put,
I think he just wants to discuss
Yeah.
the way that our density is set up in planning. Is that right?
Yeah, Article 6 talk about how we should apply density on PRD district just for single-family residential, and I would like to go over that because I think it's a good definition, and we should probably apply that to every zoning code, not just to PRD single-family development. So it's Article 669, 130-C.
Most people don't have their code with them. Can you tell them what that is, that article?
Lot creation shall be taken from net usable square feet, which shall be derived from subtracting from the gross square footage of the PRD district the required amount of open space and the actual amount of street right-of-way or street easement required. The remaining net area shall be usable land for proper lot layout. So basically on just for that type of development with the PRD for single family, they basically remove from the lot square footage. They state that open space cannot be counted on it, street cannot be counted on it, all that stuff. We right now, the perfect example was the last townhouse who came back and they were putting everything in open space. So we have a definition there was actually good, and to look if we can apply that to not just the PRD for single family residences, but to everything. So again, we get rid of the loopholes and we make things really clear. So when developers come in, they know exactly what to expect and what to do. That's the same with the definition of common open space was not used.
Susan, is that something that we could ask the planning to look at on one of their work sessions?
Yes.
I understand what he's saying, but I'd feel more comfortable with planning looking at it before it gets to us.
Agree with Sean.
I'm okay if the planning actually look at it, because the last time I asked something to go to the planning, they never did it. They never gone even mentioned. So I'm okay if we say the planning look at it, but I want to make sure the planning is going to actually look at it.
Matt, would you look at that or put it on, get it put on the agenda of planning?
Why don't we make sure the whole body is in
Okay.
agreement?
So we have a motion,
Send it to
don't
planning.
have a second yet, but
So we're putting this on our agenda to discuss or planning?
I don't want to step on his toes if he made a motion, but I would like to see it go to planning and let them hash it out over there. If
So
Matt
I
would be-
retract my motion and make motion to send it to planning, to have discussion at planning side to see what can be done on that.
All right, I'll second that motion.
say you retracted your motion?
My initial
He
motion.
amended it. He amended it.
Okay, so you amended, and we have an amended motion and we have a second. Any more discussion about this? None, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
We have one no and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses. Okay, any other business? Councilman Juvance?
So now to follow with Sean, how about the common open space sent to planning? You will second that?
Yeah, why, I mean, let them look at it.
All right, so I make a motion to have planning look at the definition of common open space to streamline it, to make sure there is no ambiguity on it.
So we have a motion by Councilman Juvance and Sean seconded it.
To send it to planning
Planning Commission to discuss this.
on their work session, yeah.
More discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that passes also. Is there any other business?
The last one.
Once.
I heard the request talking about creating a position as a facilities project manager. I know that been talked before and turned down, but I think I agree with the comment I got on that the city is growing, and that would be great to have someone who be whose job will be only for that, to make sure that our facilities are taken care of and there is no issues with that, and have one central person in charge of that.
Are you talking about our current facilities or facilities?
Yeah, our current facilities and
We have someone
facilities to
that's-
come.
Rosemary, isn't it?
I mean, is that not what, Richard DePriest? Don't we have someone that's doing facilities management?
Yes, Lyndon Satterfield is our facilities maintenance manager.
That
Councilman
what you're-
Juvance may be referring to, I think, and Nick can correct me, but I think there was a request made back at last budget time about bringing on not just the maintenance side of it that Lyndon handles, but somebody that could oversee new projects that are,
Talking about a project manager, like for CEI? Is that what?
Everything, yeah. So I would like to put that on a next council, next working session to talk about it. I think it's needed.
We have a motion from Councilman Juvance to discuss this at the next committee meeting for a facilities, project manager. Is there a second?
I can second that.
Okay, so, any more discussion? All in favor?
Shouldn't that come from the department heads, a need like that?
Get input from them.
I think that has come from department heads in the past. It has been discussed during budget time, I believe. Is that accurate? I know there's been lots of discussion about it. Ms. Nichols?
That is accurate. I actually requested it one year, just to have someone advocating for us in new construction projects, because the architect and/or the contractor don't always represent our interest. And we need somebody that has that skill set that can look after the city's project and the city's money. So yes, it has been requested by department heads in years past, just has not been approved yet. But with our growth, we think it's probably worth considering again.
Currently, I think a lot of times we're contracting that out, correct, on our projects?
That was the intent. The last discussion we had was that the next bond issue we had with a lot of construction projects in it, we would also contract out for project manager. But we haven't had anything come up yet since then, so.
Rachel. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so motion passes. Any other business?
I'd like to say something. Nick, did you ever, I know I called you a couple times on Ryan Avenue, the barricades. I'm getting more and more emails on that. Have you found out anything about that yet?
I just responded to the developer late this afternoon. He had some suggestions and some things he wanted to do before removing the barricade. He's concerned about safety on the other side, just as the neighbors on Elk Acres side are concerned for safety on that side. So I think we've got something moving in that direction. He'd like to have some signage that's placed up to try to keep a lot of speeding traffic coming through an active construction area. So, yes, it's something that we've been talking about, working on, trying to come to a resolution.
Okay,
I don't have a timeline yet, though.
okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Is there any other business? Okay, see none. Department head reports. I believe Chief Beeman and Mr. McCord may have a presentation or discuss something with us.
Good evening, Bill McCord, City Planner. I was going to give a brief presentation on the results of the storm that we had on Saturday evening. And I prepared this map and I wanted to present it to y'all as it shows the extent of the storm or the path of the storm as it traveled through Gallatin city limits. So on the eastern end and on the far western end, it was not in or close proximity to the city limits. It would be leaving the city limits. So this map indicates the most precise, in my opinion at least, path of the storm. And there are others that are out there, including some that have been presented by FEMA. I think the Emergency Management Agency had one that's very similar. This one shows a little bit of a wobble in the line. This is based on observation of damage that's occurred along the path. So, of course, it was the EF2, and in some places that we had pretty substantial damage, and a lot of places we had really just things like shingles and maybe some fascia or something that was occurring on houses and other businesses. So just thought you'd be interested in seeing how that progressed. We did have a storm about 16 years ago, that's followed a similar path. It was a little bit further north and a more direct east or west to east pattern. And how, unfortunately, though, those storms crossed basically the same path in the area of Airport Road and Southwater Avenue 109 and hit the Woodvale neighborhood almost exactly in the same place. So unfortunately, that neighborhood there and the crossings the south part of the crossings neighborhood got hit by two different tornadoes in different times on the same path projection. So I do have some photographs. I don't know if you want to see them that we took. Most of you have probably been out to see the damage and talk with some of those folks out there as well. So I don't want to proceed with that. Chief may have he has some more detailed numbers that I think.
Hey, Bill, is that where that tornado stopped at? Is where that line stops?
No, sir. It stopped out north of Highway 25 in Castilian Springs. So this is only the extent within the city of Gallatin.
I understand. Nobody's told me where it stopped, so.
Thank you, Bill. I'm just going to follow with some data and information. Saturday night, The storm, they've officially started the incident at 4:50 p.m. What we've looked at so far, conducting damage assessments within the city limits of Gallatin, we had a total currently of 280 structures that were impacted, 2 destroyed, 27 with major damage, 60 with minor damage, 187 affected structures, and we have 1 inaccessible here in the city. Of those, there were 11 apartment units affected, 7 business units, 261 residential housing units, and 2 public buildings. Total incidents handled within, and I'm going to do this between Gallatin and Hendersonville, was 200-plus incidents where we had calls for service for the fire department on Saturday evening. Some of the challenges that we faced that evening was, 1, communication, and then allocation and distribution of resources. I think that we overcame those challenges quite quickly and were able to have an effective response. Essentially what we did was that we combined the city of Gallatin and Hendersonville into one large response area, minus the West Main Street incident that Hendersonville was handling because they had all the resources mustered to that one location. The departments that helped us, and I'd like to just make mention in public about those departments, the #1 Volunteer Fire Department, the Gallatin Volunteer Fire Department, Cottontown Volunteer Fire Department, Portland Fire Department, Southeast Volunteer Fire Department, Shackle Island Fire Department, and the Highland Fire Department. And those are departments that, most of those are volunteers that are located within Sumner County, and we were able to leverage those resources to handle the incidents that occurred during the storm. We also received assistance from the Tennessee Mutual Aid System. And we had fire companies from the Williamson County Fire Department, Rutherford County Fire Department, Franklin Fire Department, Nolensville Fire Department, and the Murfreesboro Fire Department. They were mustered through a statewide system that's in place where we have impacted areas that we can rely and call on resources from unaffected areas to get those resources surged. We call it a surge deployment, and they were deployed here, and they assisted with the calls that we were handling. We handled over 200-plus incidents that occurred during that storm. It was handled in a very professional manner. But what I'd like to say also, that was the emergency response phase, and what we did then Sunday was the damage assessment phase. And during damage assessment, even though it's not the glamorous work that we consider that's very important, the damage assessment phase is very important because that's really the first step to recovery. And that allows us to identify who's been impacted by the storms, to see what their level of damage is, because from there, that actually starts the process through TEMA to FEMA to request financial reimbursement. So we had several members of the fire department that participated in that, and also members from our codes department. And I don't think Mr. Stewart's here, but I'd like to say a big shout out to Chuck and his team as well for the assistance with the damage assessment. And Ms. Love, I know you recognize Public Utilities, Public Works, and GDE, but I'd like to give a shout out to them because if it wasn't for their efforts to restore some of the city to a sense of normalcy, we would continue to be impacted by that event. And then for GDE, by Sunday morning, and I got my numbers updated, by 9 a.m. Sunday morning, I think we were down to less than 125 customers without power. So we went from about 13,000 to 125 before 9 a.m. the following morning. So another shout out to them. And I know Richard's crew worked all through the night to have every road open so we could start traveling around the city. And then with what could have been a major incident with a ruptured gas main by Haganese, David Kellogg's crews surged quickly to minimize that, because I will tell you, when they told me we had a major gas leak there, I could think of the other things that could occur with Haganese that we were able to mitigate quite quick. Our crews are doing well, and now we've really moved from the response phase, and now we're in the recovery and cleanup phase. And I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
Can I say something?
Of course.
My night started with me was my wife telling me to get in the basement, and I was standing upstairs, and I watched my boat dock go up in the air and then slam back down. And I said I knew something was really close. When it passed and got real still, I knew I was going to get a phone call. It didn't take 2 or 3 minutes. Had a phone call, neighbor's house, major damage. So well, I'm going to go over there and see what's going on. So instantly when I got to the area, I smelled gas. Everybody did. And then not only are you not knowing what to do, but a lot of people's real emotional just to walk out and see their house halfway gone and their personal belongings strolled out everywhere. So I called Paige at that time, and she said, report it to 911 where to get on the list. That's how we're doing things. So I did. First person I seen within 5 minutes is David Kellogg, wearing shorts, tennis shoes, and a jacket, running from house to house, shutting people's gas off. Each and every one of you guys, I mean, it meant so much to the neighbors in just my little area that got hit. Richard was out there, Public Works, of course, you was, Chief. Then it got down to taking care of people's personal belongings and what to do. So I'm really glad also to see Don Banny come out and bring his force out there to keep patrol on the area and keep things civil, which was, everybody was helping everybody. I've seen so many people out there trying to help. The next day, there were so many people trying to come out and help that the cars was blocking, the sightseers was blocking the roads to where they couldn't get dumpsters in or people coming in with equipment, so on, so on. So then the police got up there and they started directing the traffic. And if you had no business being in there, you was asked to turn around and go back. But what is something to see is when you see our employees get out there, and it wasn't about it was their job, it was about helping people. And that's every department that we've got. I've seen everybody representing everything. And the hours that they pulled away from their family. So it was more than just a job to what I think was to most of them. You know, it was about helping the people. So I just appreciate everybody in the city of Gallatin. It's very proud to see that when you live in a neighborhood and they know that you're somebody that represents them, then all of a sudden you see the cavalry come out, is what I'd say, then it was really impressive. So thank y'all all.
And I did leave one group out for recognition. Ms. Love, I think you hit it, you hit the nail on the head, was our residents. It was neighbors helping neighbors, and the next morning while I was driving through the city to actually see how bad we were hurt, the surge in neighbors just to help each other out. Whatever needed to be done, it was getting done. That was awesome to see, very, very indicative of the resiliency of our community.
You know, and also one thing that I was thinking of too, and I seen it firsthand, several of the people was out of town in the neighborhood, and my wife and I was fortunate enough to babysit. So I was kind of afraid for them to see their house, which was severely damaged, and there was no stopping them. They eventually made their way over there, and I looked at some little girl and one of the daughters, and she said, what about Christmas? You know, then I got to think, said, gosh, this is displacing a lot of people, not only in Gallatin, but Hendersonville, but there's a lot of things that's going to change over this holiday area, you know, so that kind of makes you stand back and think about things a little bit.
We've been working very hard in the past few years to rebuild our relationships with the surrounding volunteer fire departments, because when we have events like this, we're all in it together. And Saturday night was proof that we all had a major problem, and we responded as a community, and as a community we'll recover, and we'll recover quickly.
Appreciate all of you all that helped. It really, as you said, it's not just a job to a lot of people. It's our community. It's where we are, where we live. Bill?
And related to that, I want to ask the council to consent to or authorize waiving of permit fees related to the repair of structures in the path of the tornado. And it would be identified area. It would be applying to the building permit process, and building department's kind of initiated that already, but also the planning department. So.
We need to make a motion to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, and we'll probably follow it up formally, but if you would give them permission to begin that process tonight, I think he can
I'll make
begin.
a motion to give you.
Second.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion to not charge fees to those who have had damages. And Sean made that motion, and followed by Councilman Juvance. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Help these people out as much as we can.
Good evening. The mayor had asked me to give you all an update of kind of where we're at in the recovery phase. First, I want to second Chief Beeman and everybody for the appreciation for all the help and support that Public Works has been given and continue to be offered to us. It's been very grateful. We've been working hard, and well, the employees have been working super hard. Can't say enough good things about them. But also the surrounding cities, municipalities. Like Chief Beeman said, the tornado hit at 4:50. By 5:50, I already had an email from the city of Lebanon offering any support they could give us. So a few years ago when they had their tornado, we went over and helped them out, and they're already here helping us out. So it's nice having those community partners that will help each other out. And we got a long way to go, but things are going smooth so far. We started hauling debris, vegetative debris yesterday, and so far we've already hauled a little over 1,300 cubic yards of brush. We're utilizing all of our street, stormwater, environmental services, along with still picking up trash, those guys. And it's been a battle for them as well, the ones that are running the trash routes, just because of everything else that's going on. So they're doing an outstanding job as well, not just the people that's working on the storm. The Gallatin Public Utilities we've had 2 of their employees with dump trucks helping us haul brush as well. So we've got some other requests out with the city of Mount Juliet and TDOT. Hope to have them hopefully on board helping out here in the next few days. So for all y'all's information, we're starting with just picking up vegetative debris. There's a difference with vegetative, construction and demolition, and then household waste. All that stuff needs to be separated at the curb. We've tried to get that information out as fast as we could Sunday morning after the first meeting at the OC, and for the most part, people are doing a very good job of that. So if you see people, if they ask, just make sure that stuff is separated. It'll make things go a lot faster and smoother. As far as it's probably gonna be a few weeks before, as all we're doing is picking up vegetative debris. I've got the city broke down into 5 different zones. Basically, we got Foxland area, Fairview area, the Bay Point area, Lock 4 Nichols Lane, and then the Woodville area. The Woodville areas was hit the hardest as far as trees and brush. So we're concentrating a lot of efforts in there, but we're working in all zones right now. We're trying to make at least one pass through the whole area. And as we're picking up stuff, people are pushing it out, which is fine. We're gonna come back and get it. I don't want them to think we're just gonna be there one time. So one thing I did want to brief you all on, and the mayor had asked me to, is and I'm not sure if any of y'all have received any calls, but Ms. Connie in her office and our office, we've been getting several calls about replacing trash cans that got displaced or damaged, destroyed during the tornado. I am 100% all for helping every single person out within the city limits of Gallatin, Sumner County, and surrounding areas. Unfortunately, that is private property. They're asking, they want vouchers, they want the city to give it to them. I've already been in contact with United Way. We are working to try to come up with a voucher system to potentially reimburse the ones that have already purchased cans that was in the tornado area, and also going forward for the ones that were in that area that need to get one, potentially get them a trash can. It's not set in stone. I'm not saying it. That is the gospel right now, but we are working on that, so hopefully that is something we can make happen. And I'm here to answer any questions. One other thing, there's been a lot of questions asked about how are we getting all the debris out of the lake. I'm sure, Sean, you've seen it down in your area. There's anything from boats to boat docks to sections of roof and everything else. Nick has had his stormwater department reach out to TDEC to try to get some guidance on how we can potentially recover that before it just sinks to the bottom and washes up on the banks and so forth and so on. So just kind of a brief overview of everything that's going on, but happy to answer any questions.
Done a wonderful job, as have all of our departments, and you're greatly appreciated. Sean?
I got 2 things I want to ask you. One is with our sidewalks and our streets. I've seen some people, they asked me about should they pile the brush up as close to the street they can? and if the equipment would reach it going across the other side of the sidewalk from the street.
Yes, as close to the street as possible without getting it in the street.
Okay.
We don't encourage to block the sidewalk. And this is a different situation than normal. There's, in some of the lots, they don't have room. I mean, you got to get everything you can in there, and that's the reason we're going to make multiple trips. We cannot go onto private property to retrieve these stuff, but as long as we can reach it, we're going to get it.
Okay. And you know, it seems like as soon as we get one storm cleaned up, here comes another one. Is there equipment that you're having to rent or bring in that we don't have that you're having to use for this?
No, we have all the necessary equipment. Our biggest issue is just still staffing.
Is what, staffing? Are we getting to use any of the inmates?
We have inmates, they've been picking up, and they have picked up a lot of roadside debris the last 2 days, a lot. They have been and we got some other things we're gonna be working on with them as well, potentially looking at some, there was not a complaint, a suggestion with all these people having to buy new things, there's gonna be a lot more cardboard accumulated because everything comes in a box. So the suggestion was given to add some cardboard pickups, but I was thinking, I was like, well, that could be something good for the inmates here in a couple of weeks when people start buying stuff, because we don't want that stuff going to the landfill. And if we can help out, I mean, anybody can always bring it to our recycling center, but yes, inmates are helping out tremendously.
Last night when I was getting ready to go to bed, I could smell fire. So I guess a lot of people, I didn't know how to answer that. I probably should have called the chief, but I know a lot of people's burning a lot of stuff right now.
Chief can correct me, but I'm pretty sure as long as it was produced on your property, you can burn it from this event.
Okay.
We just ask that the residents follow our normal process of letting us know that they're going to burn that day and just call and get a burn permit. Just in case, though, we have, weather conditions that are too dry that we don't want something to burn, but we greatly understand the challenge that they face, and we'll work with anybody we can as long as we're able to.
One thing, and then I'll promise I'll be quiet. I've been talking a lot, but everybody's seen strange things with the wind. One of the strangest things I've seen, and he might not have thought of it, Mr. Javance was with me out there, but all these boat docks are gone, the boat's sunk and everything. Then way out in the lake, you see one boat lift and a boat sitting out there with nothing around it, just sitting there, not even anchored on the thing. How in the world did that boat dock get ripped off and that boat still sitting on the lift way out in the water, like it's never touched? That is so spooky.
Yeah, that was interesting. I want to thank Sean on top of everything, because I was out of town and I started receiving emails, and Sean kept me informed until I came back right away Sunday morning and went and meet them and went around. So I appreciate communication. And today I was in the neighborhood behind on the 109 back there, and I saw all the trucks, Lebanon helping, and public utility trucks moving all the wood down there, and non-stop. So I appreciate the job you guys doing, and I think we're not gonna say enough thank you for you guys.
Thank you. Like I said, the support has been very great, and we'll get through it just like in the years past and come back stronger.
We appreciate you and we love you.
Thank you.
The other department heads. Bill, would you like to say anything before your last council meeting is over?
My last day is going to be on the 5th, but I won't be here on the 2nd. I'll be hopefully in the Citrus Bowl or going to the Citrus Bowl and coming back from that. So that's the Citrus Bowl game's on the 1st. But I do want to thank the mayor and council and the citizens of Gallatin and my coworkers and fellow department heads, especially the staff in the planning department over the years, our planning commission and BZA, and numerous applicants and consultants. A lot of folks we deal with and trying to implement our city's plan, and make the best decisions and recommendations on behalf of the citizens of the city. And so it's been a pleasure to work here for 10 years, a little over 10 years, 10 years and a month. So I've enjoyed it, and I've had some frustrations at times. We have adopted a comp plan, which I think is great. First time for Gallatin. Still a lot of work to do to understand that, revise that if necessary, and implement that through adoption of subdivision regulations and new zoning code. As a matter of fact, I think Susan will have reviewed the contract by maybe Friday, the 15th, and we'll maybe be on our way to having the consultant begin work on that. And beg you to be patient with the consultant and staff in developing that, and don't put too many roadblocks or diversions in the way of that process, because this will be very important. And hopefully that something really revealing and progressive for the city will come out of that effort. I also want to encourage, if I can, that in conjunction with the zoning code, that y'all may begin another phase, which is included in our comp plan, of developing corridor and neighborhood plans, so that you can focus not only efforts on investing your long-term capital improvements programs consistent with the plan, but tailor it to specific neighborhood needs and wants. So that's going to be a big important thing to pursue. Also, your transportation. You're going to need new strategies for transportation. Keep doing the same old thing and expecting different results is not going to get you anywhere. That's called insanity in some circles. Look for other opportunities. And I want you to recognize when you go to other communities, particularly not necessarily in Tennessee, but in other communities, even internationally, look what they're doing. How are they making things work in those places? It's very important. Tennessee is not the most progressive place to implement a lot of new ideas, but there are places that are and are very successful in what they're doing. And they can do it at a more economical cost, both in the short term and the long term. Express really the need to upcharge, if you want to call it that, your bike ped program. The city was years and years behind and not investing in that, and our peer cities that are around us are kind of jumping ahead of us. So it's very important to pursue development of that, and things like roundabouts, traffic calming in conjunction with bike ped improvements, and better managing our existing transportation system. Roads are expensive. We try to get others to pay for them as much as possible, but they're very expensive and very disruptive. So continue to work on those efforts. You're going to need to also begin thinking about public transportation. When Franklin was about the size of Gallatin 25 years ago or so, 20 years ago, they pursued a public transportation system. We're not talking about big buses. We're talking about like Jettison-type buses, small 15-passenger buses. But there's going to be a great need to pursue that. And as I mentioned here in just a minute about the needs for people to be able to get around and get around in an efficient way, whether it's they're walking, they're possibly riding their bike, some other way than everybody jumping in their car, because that's obviously has not been too successful, not just in maybe places like here, but in many other places. So consider that. Murfreesboro did the same thing when they were about our population. They have a system as well. Things about annexation, I think we've done, for the most part, have annexed properties strategically. Sometimes we haven't in the past, particularly when we annexed by ordinance, which was essentially when I started here, they discontinued that. You need to continue to annex properties in a strategic manner. There are some properties you don't need to annex. The urban growth boundary is quite large, and I doubt you're going to need all of that property in the city in the next 20 years. So consider that strategically. Affordable housing, as always, is going to be an important issue. We seem to be slipping behind in our ability to provide affordable housing in relation to compensation of people. And with that, I want you to remember that there's a lot of people who aren't as fortunate as a lot of us. Some of those people need public transportation, and they need affordable housing as well. There's a lot of other things that the city can do to help that. It's not that you want to discourage lower income people, but they're an important part of your economic development of your community. So think about that, especially when you're considering housing. You need to also consider the changing demographics. I think I've mentioned this before, but we're not the same culture that we were when I grew up and most of y'all grew up. And so the needs for those types of changing demographics is important, particularly as it relates to housing, but we're seeing it now in retail and other types of employment. Encourage you to continue to participate with your neighboring communities. We saw great examples of that tonight. There are other opportunities for that too. So think about yourselves in a regional context in cooperating with other communities in the area and Metro Nashville. I think it'd be a great idea for Gallatin to maybe adopt a peer city or sister city and or create benchmarks with other communities that we aspire to be more like, that you think are good examples, as I mentioned, out in the world here. Because believe me, there's a lot of good ideas floating around out there. And some of them are expensive, but a lot of them are achievable. Administratively, we have always a greater need to coordinate our information, our databases, our mapping, and things of that sort. And we made great strides in the last 10 years in that. We're going to be boxing up big files that are down in the basement and have been down there for years and years and years. And we're going to get them out, and we're going to have them all scanned, and that's going to be essentially done before I walk out the door. That's one of my goals. As I mentioned, the zoning code will be done as well. I encourage you to also maybe focus some efforts on reconstituting the beautification committee, be diligent in litter removal and your campaign there, and institute some kind of program and put some funds into developing your gateways to your community, your landscaping, and maybe signs on your major roadways. It's been great, again, to work here. I think Gallatin can be a leading community in Middle Tennessee. In many ways, it has been. And it could, if you take a great initiative, you can be the leader and that other communities will look to. I've had people even recently call me and ask us about how we operate in a planning aspect, because there are other communities out there that are growing as fast, maybe even faster than us. They're having a really difficult time dealing with this issue. So, again, appreciate the opportunity. I'll be here for a couple more weeks of working, and please give me a call, and I will be in the area for a while. Hope to do a lot of traveling and continue learning. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. And like I said, you have a wealth of knowledge in planning, and the city has certainly enjoyed having you to lead us in the planning department, and you'll be missed.
One thing I remember about Bill back in the day, and I know Linda will because we was both on it, but we had a meeting one time about planning Gallatin or what we needed at Gallatin. One of the questions come up that I'll never forget, and it said, what would you like to see happen in Gallatin to make it better? And Bill's comment was, fire the city council and elect new ones. You remember that?
Thank you, Bill. Well, we do appreciate all your years of work and wish you all the best. Are there any more department heads that would like to speak? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye, and have a
Aye.
Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy Holidays. We'll see you back in January.
Holidays.
All that other